Hey, it's Amy. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how my 2023 Chicago Marathon went. So in today's video, I'm going to share what went well, maybe what could have gone better, and how my overall experience at Chicago was. So let's talk about Chicago. We left for Chicago on Friday afternoon as Liam had an appointment in the morning, and we decided to leave our son with my mom. This was the first time we've left him for more than a few hours, and I was quite anxious about it, but he was completely fine with my mom, and my brother helped out too. We had a layover in Toronto, and man, if we still lived in Toronto, this trip would have been just so much shorter and easier, but we had just a short layover, and then we landed in Chicago around, I think 7 or 8 p.m. We got to the hotel, quickly just set our stuff down, and then went out to get some food because we were starving. We ended up going to Rosebud on Rush and got some delicious pasta. I think at that point it was like 9 or 9:30 p.m., which in Halifax time that would have been 11 or 11:30 p.m. So a little late for some dinner, but it was, again, delicious. We crashed, and thankfully our hotel had continental breakfast, so we definitely took advantage of that. We were gonna take a bus to the Tracksmith shakeout run, but the bus wasn't coming for a long time, so we ended up walking. I think it was around maybe 22 minutes, so not too bad at all. We got to Tracksmith, and it was a really cool space, like really open and people milling around, but I was a little disappointed in their clothing selection or display. They really didn't have a lot, and I guess I was expecting just to see more, not just Chicago stuff. I don't know, but nothing really appealed to me. Liam and I were just waiting around just for it to start, and we were saying, oh, it'd be nice to see people or run with people we knew, and I happened to turn around and see two of my old training buddies from Toronto standing just like 5 feet away from us, which was so cool to see them. It was just really nice to see familiar faces. There were so many other groups doing their shakeout run, not just Tracksmith, and we all kind of just like converge onto, I don't know if it's like the waterfront trail or just by the water or lakeside trail, and there's just so many people running, and it got me really excited and a bit more nervous. We saw the start line. Just nice to run with Liam and our friends and see a little bit of the cool running sites in Chicago. Instead of going straight to the expo, which we probably should have done, we wanted to go back to the hotel room to get showered. Continental breakfast was still happening, so you know what we did. We went back and had more food, and I think I had another coffee and just had more food. Carb loading, right? We ended up having to take an Uber to the expo as there was a train, but it was just gonna take forever, and we wanted to get to the expo so we could get our bib and just get back to the hotel room to relax. It was quite congested around the expo because everyone was doing the same thing that we were doing, and we ended up getting out and crossing the crosswalk before the entrance because just there was too much of a line of cars to get to the entrance of the expo. Then we get inside the building, and we had to walk like, I swear, like a kilometer to get to actually where the expo it was. We go through metal detectors, and then we got our bib first. Then we walked into the main expo part, and there was just people everywhere. We got a picture in front of the sign. We got Morton caffeinated gels because you can't get them in Canada anymore. I didn't realize that. And we just looked around and of course got our t-shirt and our like race kit bag, but it was just really hard to do anything. There's just too many people around. I had seen people who would be wearing like this green jacket, and I was like, oh, that jacket looks really cool. And so Liam and I went there, and they were all sold out of extra smalls. We both got half zips, which it has Chicago in the back. I really like this. It's like a really nice fit and feels really soft. But Liam got a jacket, and I talked to the cashier. I was like, oh, there's no extra smalls, are there? And he's like, no, we sold out them on Friday, and actually we sold out last year. And I'm like, well, maybe you should make more extra smalls. Because yeah, it was a little disappointing not to get the jacket because they ran out of my size. We walked around a bit more, but after I think it was about an hour and a half, felt much longer, we decided we needed to go. So we took a bus back to their hotel room, which took an hour. There was so much traffic everywhere. It was crazy. So we just sat in a bus. Thankfully we were sitting, because otherwise standing for an hour would have been awful. The only time we could make a reservation on Saturday was at 3:30 p.m. and we went to La Broella. I kind of liked having it in like the afternoon, because by the time we ate it was like, yeah, 3:30, maybe 4. It came pretty quickly. And then we had our like spaghetti and meatball, and then we had time to just like digest it. I don't think I would have liked having a really late meal and then having it really heavy in my stomach the next day. So yeah, it was great. There was lots of other runners eating the same thing we were. We went to the Nike store, which was very close to our hotel, which was really cool to see. It was 3 levels, and yeah, they were also sold out of the jacket, but we were able to just like look around, and I got some shoes, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Then we went back to the hotel room, and we just had bagels with cream cheese for our snack, and of course our Morton 320 drink mix the night before the race. And then we went to bed at like, I don't even know, 8 p.m. We were tired. Okay, race day, yay! I had my typical breakfast that I have before races, was oatmeal and a bagel with peanut butter and no coffee, because I knew I was going to have caffeinated Morton gels later on, and I just didn't want it to upset my stomach. And I don't know, maybe I could have had some graham crackers closer to the race because I did get hungry, but for the most part, like, my stomach again had no issues later on, so I was happy with my bagel and oatmeal. Chicago Marathon tells runners to get to the start line or start line area 2 hours before your start time. There's 3 different waves, I think 3, in Chicago, and they all kind of spread out. So our wave was at 7:30, and then I think it was 7:40, and then 7:40, 7:50, something like that. So they, because there was like 45,000 people running this race, a lot of people. So we had to be in the corral. I think it closes at 7:20. So that was like our hard line of being to the start line. Thankfully Chicago, and I think other races are doing this now, but they are providing like lactation spaces for nursing moms, which I am. Of course I didn't bring Luke, but I still had to pump because I didn't want to lose my milk supply. So I emailed the office and they booked a time for me, a time slot, and it was like a semi-private room that I could go pump before the race, and then they would actually store my pump there, and then I could go back after the race to pump again. This is just so cool, and I really am thankful that they had this, because I don't know what I would have done, like, because I need an electrical outlet and just having that privacy, and yeah, I really appreciate that. Of course it was like one other thing I had to like worry about, but oh well. It was also really cool that they gave us a purple dot and a priority access wristband to bypass security, or we could go in a special security line, and so that was really nice because we didn't have to wait in line, and I don't think the lines were huge, but my lactation time, my appointment time was at 5:50 a.m. It was kind of nice because we could sit in a warm like hotel and use like a washroom, not a porta potty, and yeah, it was quite nice. So after that, Liam and I slowly made our way to kind of the bag drop. So we went through security, and then we walked, and it was really dark. I was surprised that they didn't have like lights around where like the bag drop was. It was like pitch black. So we dropped our bags off, and we had our like throwaway clothes on, and we walked to just before you went into the start corral, or like to go to the start corral area, because we didn't want to go too soon. There wasn't a huge amount of people, but like, slowly people were starting to get there. I think we were probably 6:30, and so we used the porta potty, and then around 6:50 we kind of did a little bit of shakeout, kind of just to get our legs moving, and then had to use the porta potty again, and then we went into the start corral area. I'm glad we went around, I think it was around 7 to the start corral, because we had to walk quite a bit to get to where the A, B, C, etc., where we had to start. So we arrived at the B corral, and this is where Liam and I had to say our farewell. So before I went into the corral, I decided to get rid of my throwaway clothes because I just didn't know about like how I was going to discard it otherwise. And it was fine because there was a lot of people around, so it kept me warm. I saw the 3-hour pace bunny and I knew that I wanted to be faster than 3 hours, so I kind of squeezed my way through, so I was a little bit of ahead of that 3-hour pace bunny. I ended up standing next to a really nice other female runner, and we just chatted, and it was just, she was going for much faster than me. I was jealous. But it was nice just to have that kind of person to talk to kind of distract ourselves from being nervous, or just, yeah, the race was starting soon. It was crazy. I was like in the middle, thankfully, and people were just throwing clothes. They were just like clothes flying, and I even saw water bottles being thrown, which I'm like, you don't know if you're gonna hit somebody. Like, that would be so awful if you got hit in the head by a water bottle right before you start a marathon. Like, I just couldn't believe it. So a little crazy how much clothes were just flying. The elites were announced, and I was sad because I saw like all my favorite runners, or heard all my favorite runner names, but I didn't see any one elite this race weekend. Like, I was really hoping to see Des and Emma, just like all the runners, but not one. The race started, and it took about maybe 2 or 3 minutes for our wave to, maybe 2 minutes, yeah, to cross the start line, as there was like the elites, the American development, and then the A corral that I was in. Of course, it was very chaotic, and there's lots of people around, and of course everyone goes super fast at the race, the beginning of the race, and I just kind of just wanted to get into a groove, as I knew Chicago was notorious for your GPS being super wacky because of the tall buildings. So I really wasn't looking at my watch at all. I was just going by feel, and I didn't want to go too fast because that would have been bad. The beginning was amazing. Like, the crowds were cheering, and there was just like everyone running, and it was very exciting. It just like got me excited for this race. They had painted a blue line throughout the whole race, and that's like shows you the shortest distance, like GPS distance. And so the whole race, I literally was just running on top of this blue line, or just like looking at it too. People were like, oh, how was Chicago? Did you see it? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I just stared at the ground for most of it, but I did look around. But the whole race, I was like, blue line, blue line. And of course, some of the bridges, they had like red carpet because it was like kind of like grates, so everyone had to like move over and then back. I actually didn't get water at the first water station because it was too crowded, so that wasn't great, but it was the beginning of the race, so I wasn't too worried. In races, I like to find another like runner, maybe just ahead of me, who looks like kind of like me, and who looks like they're doing a steady pace, and keep them in my sights. So I wanted to like make sure that they didn't get too far ahead of me, and just like kept me like, I'm competitive and I want to like keep up, so it kept me like from slowing down. It also distracted me. I just kind of find this person and then just like hunt them down or just follow them. Like the first 15K, even 20K, I felt amazing, and just the whole time I was just thinking magic. Like, this is a magic day. I feel awesome. I just want to shine, and just like I was so excited to be running, and everything just felt like it clicked, and I felt really good and super strong, and I knew that I could hold this for the rest of the race, or I was praying that I would be able to hold this and feel this good. I'm pretty sure I gave my coach a little bit of a heart attack when I clocked like a 20-minute 5K, so but it, you know, I could have gone really bad. I could have like blown up later, but it worked out. I had been doing this kind of with other races, like just not really looking at my watch. Like, yeah, I would kind of keep an eye on it and making sure that I wasn't slowing down once the GPS was not, you know, being really crazy, but I just was feeling good and just going by how I felt. I slowed down a little bit around 35, like people were passing me a bit. You know, I think I was hitting around 4:15 paces just for like that last bit. Like I was a little faster, and then yeah, 4:15s, but that's not like I was very happy with it. And like, honestly, I was like, I can hold this and I will be happy like with whatever happens, but like 4:15 I was feeling really good. There was kind of like a turnaround spot, and I saw people, and when I got to the turnaround, all of a sudden I heard my name, which is like crazy because there's lots of other runners. Look over, and there Liam's like waving and saying hi, and it was so cool to see him. Like, I didn't expect to see him at all. He had an amazing race, and I'm so proud of him, and it was just awesome to see him and really made me happy. I was running, and I think it was about a couple miles before the end of the race, race, and all of a sudden this other runner, she came up beside me and we were running pretty much the same pace, and I just looked at her and I was like, we've got this. And she looked at me, we've got this. And we stuck together till the end of the race, which was such a game changer for me. Like in workouts, the other hammer ladies, like if they were ahead of me, I just like, I can't slow down, I have to keep up to them. So with her, I just like, we'd be together and like we couldn't slow down because we're staying together. So it really helped me. We got to like the finish line and there was a little bit of a hill, like baby hill, and then, you know, the crowds were getting bigger, and then at the very stretch end of the race, I was able to like sprint to the finish line, which I've never been able to do. It was amazing. So I was just like running to the end, just trying to get there as fast as I could, you know, passing people, and then I was done. It was amazing. So my official time was 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 53 seconds. I was hoping to go for 2:55, but I am still very happy with a 2:56 time. So I hobbled after the race, got my medal, got the blanket, and they had some really yummy food after, like candy, which I loved, and just lots of food. So I just like filled up my bag, and yeah, it was just a really surreal feeling, but I was just quite sore and it took me a long time to get to the bag drop. Thankfully there wasn't a huge line for me, so I was able to get my bag and like a jacket to put on and my phone. I was talking to a few people, and then I slowly made my way to the meeting spot where I was gonna meet Liam. There were so many people like at the entranceway, like at the where you could meet up with your family and friends. It was like really hard to get through, and I just stood there. Thankfully I was able to find Liam, no problem, and yeah, it was really nice to see him after the race. Then we had to actually go back to get his bag because he wanted to come straight to meet me, and we waited like 30 or 40 minutes for his bag, which was fine, but we were getting a little cold just waiting in line for his bag. Then we hobbled and we got a drink, which was fun. Not the best thing after a race, but it was fun. And then we had to go back to the hotel where my pump was so I could pump again. So yeah, after like going to the hotel and pumping, it was really, and then going back to the hotel, we took the subway. It was around 1 or 1:30 before we got back to the hotel room, even though we finished at just before 10:30 and him just after. So like, yeah, it was a long time to get back to the hotel. We got a shower, and then I wanted to go to the Nike store because I wanted to see if they had like a jacket, and it was really cool. They actually had these finisher jackets, and so I was able to get a jacket, yay. So I'll show you just a second. So yeah, it's like almost the same, pretty much the same color as this sweater, but I thought it was super cute, and it has finisher Chicago Marathon 2023, and yeah, it doesn't have anything on the back, but I love how lightweight it is, and it's super cute. The jacket that Liam got, it had like Chicago on the front, and then actually has Chicago on the sleeve, and it's like the same thing except his has zippered pocket, no fair. But anyways, he was able to get this, and then he also got a vest or a half zip like this. The Nike store was so fun. All the like staff were cheering, and it was just such a celebratory feeling and our atmosphere, and I was able to get the jacket, and I was really happy. So we walked to Giordano's. Am I saying this right? Probably not. And we made a reservation, and it was like 40 minutes away, so we were actually able to go back to our hotel room, chill there, and then when it was our time, went and had amazing deep dish pizza. I had never had Chicago deep dish pizza before, and it was so good. Like, it was like one slice was like a meal, and we had two. We were hungry, of course. We just ran a freaking marathon, but yeah, it was a lot. We didn't end up doing anything else in Chicago. Like I had all these dreams of doing like the architecture tour and going around, but we were just very tired, and we had to get up super early the next day to get to our flight, so we just ended up walking a bit, you know, seeing little things, few things, but we just, yeah, didn't do much. We didn't even end up seeing the Bean, which apparently it was under construction, so we would have not really seen it much, but I know, I kind of feel bad that we didn't see it, but we just have to go back to Chicago again. We had to take a taxi to the airport because it was so early, the subway wasn't open, and yeah, and then got our flight, everything went smoothly, then we got home, and our son was very excited to see us, and we were excited to see him too. I missed him a lot. Okay, so what went well in my race? I am super happy with my fueling and hydration. I took a gel 30 minutes before the race because I was starting to feel a little hungry. So that was just a regular Morton. And then every 30 minutes until the end, I would take a gel, and I took 3 salt tabs along with the gel. And I'm really glad I did. It wasn't a super hot day, but I think just having that kind of like salt and sugar, I just really helped me. So I took a gel, yeah, every 30 minutes, and I didn't take my last gel. I had 6 on me, but I was, at the end, I was starting not to feel like, my stomach is very sensitive, and I've had issues in the past, and I just didn't want to, like, you know, break the straw that breaks the camel's back, so I didn't take my last gel. So I took 3 regular Mortons and 2 calf Mortons. I took Gatorade. I didn't take any water. Most stations I didn't get the beginning, and then near the end I didn't take a couple because I just, again, didn't want to upset my stomach. I pretty much hit my A goal. I know it was 2:55 was my dream, but 2:56, so close. So I'm very happy with that. Honestly, I would have been happy with anything. I had no idea how this race was gonna go and what my body was gonna do. Like this build was a struggle. Like I felt like my body was fighting me this entire build, and that just took a long time to get back into some sort of fitness, and it was just reassuring and validating, I guess, all the hard work I put in, and it just to see a result that I was very happy with. Yeah, it just made me really happy and excited to go even faster. I'm raring to go and run very fast. Another huge victory was that I didn't puke at the end of the race. Every other marathon, I've like either dry heaved or actually just thrown up at the end of the race or right before. Like at Boston, the photographers were there, and of course I was like trying not to puke, and it was just not a great feeling. But this time, I don't know, I wonder if it's like the salt tabs and like hydrating, and because a lot of GI issues can be caused by lack of electrolytes, and so maybe having the Gatorade and all that stuff just really helped me. I'm hoping that's it, and I'll try again next marathon. But yeah, it was such a nice feeling not to like feel sick to my stomach. Another awesome thing was I didn't get super negative mentally. Like before, I've gotten to these like deep, just like, ugh, I can't believe, like, I can't hold this for the race. Oh, you're so slow, blah blah blah, like you're feeling terrible. And I honestly didn't feel like any negative thoughts this race. Like and anytime I was like starting, ooh, can I hold this? I would just smile. The whole race I'm just like grinning, probably looking very silly, but I was grinning, and it made me feel so much better. So I'm really happy that I didn't like spiral down. A few things maybe that didn't go, I don't know, I wasn't like upset at them, but I did slow down a little bit, which I wish I could have just maybe held on to the 410 a bit longer, but again, I just didn't want to blow up. So yeah, slow down just itsy bitsy. My hamstrings were pretty sore like from the beginning. Like it wasn't a pain, it just like I could feel my right one, and then by the end my left one was angry at me, but I could just feel it, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to become an issue later on in the race. And I think I mentioned it before, but my hamstrings have been kind of bothering me this build because I think I hadn't done as much strength training, and just sitting down a lot with Luke didn't help either. So that's one thing that wasn't great, is just my hamstring. I also thought a few times my shoe was gonna come undone, and I'm gonna talk about my shoe now because I broke the golden rule of nothing new on race day. And yeah, I'm kind of ashamed and I'm embarrassed, I guess, that I did this. So, you know, I don't know if you know that pregnant women's feet often grow when you're pregnant because like the ligaments like relax, and so things just kind of spread out. And I guess I had felt it a little bit, but my running shoes have space in them, and I just didn't notice that my left foot especially was a little larger. So I was gonna wear the Vaporfly 2s that I wore at Boston, and you know, they were a little like race fit, and you know, they're a little snug, but they fit, and I knew that they worked, so I wasn't worried, and I didn't really do any run in them. So I tried them the day before we flew and realized that my toe was almost pretty much touching the end. I was like, uh-oh. So yeah, so that wasn't great, and I was like, okay, I can maybe make this work, because no stores in Halifax sell Nikes, which is crazy, I know. So we looked at the Expo at the Nike outlet, or the Nike vendor, and they had no Vaporfly 3s. I'm like, okay. So we went to the Nike store, and I was like, you probably don't have any, but do you have any Vaporfly 3s? And they're like, oh yeah, we have a bunch. I'm like, okay, this is it, this is meant to be. So I tried it on, felt amazing, ran a little bit around in the hotel room, and I was like, here we go. And they were awesome. I really glad that I had them, and could have gone much worse, but I think having this smaller shoe would have been way worse. Like I would have might have had to slow down or stop because my foot would have been so tight in that shoe. And yeah, I'm so thankful that it worked out, and that I found the Vaporfly 3s, because it could have ruined my whole race. So don't be like me. Try your shoes on before you leave. Oh my goodness, so silly. But anyways, it all worked out. Overall, Chicago was amazing. I had never been to the city before, and the architecture was so cool just walking around seeing it. It was a very organized race. Like, there were lots of people though. Like, that's like my main thing. Is just, I know my race experience was a little different than Liam's, because in his corral he was just like, he felt like he was always boxed in and there was always people around him, and it kind of like he had to like swerve around, which I felt in Boston when I did it, that happened to me. So I totally get it. And so yeah, I feel bad that like his experience wasn't quite as great as mine just for that reason alone. And yeah, definitely would do Chicago again, maybe in a few years, because majors are expensive. But I was just so happy to finally race the Chicago Marathon, because I was supposed to run it in 2020, so I'm only 3 years later. But it was my second major marathon, and it was just a really great experience racing. And yeah, just I'm really happy that my hard work paid off and that I just was able to get that time. And I'm just so thankful to be able to have raced it and be able to get back after having a baby. It was really hard. Super proud of Liam. He crushed it, and it was so awesome having him there and seeing him in the race and having him there after. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of summary, or yeah, my feelings about Chicago. And yeah, I hope you're all doing well and crushing your fall races, and I will see you next time.